Welcome to the next video in our Winter 2026 series from CNMS Advising. Today is the first part of a video series on Effortless, which is a follow-up on Essentialism. Now, today we're going to be talking about part one, which is the effortless state. And this presentation was created from the book Effortless by Greg McKeown, the same author who wrote Essentialism. So we're going to be translating some of the lessons from this book into how you can make your school and academic life a little bit more effortless. So do you ever feel like your mental wheels are spinning really hard, but you're not actually getting anywhere? Maybe you work really hard for grades you feel are lower than you deserve, like you studied super hard for an exam and you got a C and you really feel like maybe you were going to ace it because of how hard you studied. And so you're a little bit, confused and annoyed about this. Or maybe you just can't even imagine having any time to yourself because all you're doing is working. Okay, so we're here to help. The goal of this series is for you to learn to make easy and pointless things that you don't want to do much harder for you, and essential and more difficult things easier for you. So we're going to try to make the easy and pointless things hard and the difficult and important things easy. And what we're looking for is for you to take small actions that can build momentum, because the momentum will generate further momentum. Habits, rituals, systems, all of those things will help you keep going from there. And we're going to talk about a few different specific lessons that we can learn from. Number one, burnout is not a badge of honor. A lot of college students, especially new college students, feel as though everyone is working all the time and bragging about it and then bragging how tired they are. They'll say things like, well, I only got 4 hours of sleep last night because I was studying so hard for chem and I did all of those homework assignments and aren't I so great? And that is not a brag. That is actually, honestly, it's a huge, huge handicap to not sleep, to not rest, to not give yourself any time. Like working all the time like that is a really great way to lead yourself to diminishing returns and sabotaging your performance on exams. If you can create a schedule where it's easy to get the important things done, you're still going to have time in your day for self-care and you're going to perform the way you need to be performing on your exams or your assignments. The next lesson is to play, make it into a game. In our last video on essentialism, I talked about play as a really important creative outlet and thing to do kind of outside of academics as a kind of extracurricular thing. And there's lots of ways to play in your daily life with music, with sports, with crafts, with hobbies, with whatever you like to do. But today I'm talking about play as it relates to studying. So get an app that helps with this. You can get an app like Habitica, which is a habit tracking app that looks like a video game, which is really cool. You can get Flora and Forest, which are types of apps that if you don't touch your phone, the plants grow and they give you rewards and little special things and make you want to keep not looking at your phone. Or you can play as part of group study. You could create a Jeopardy style game, which AI can make for you, although sometimes they're not as good as the ones you make yourself. Or you could create a Kahoot with your friends. Even flashcards can feel like play. So if you make flashcards, digital ones are great. Keep a record of every day how many you get in a row, and then every day try to beat yesterday's personal best. That's just kind of fun. It creates this spirit of competition with yourself in a way that is just makes it into kind of a game. You can even track your progress on a little graph, and that's kind of motivating as well. Next lesson, make habits into ritual. So what's the difference between a habit and a ritual? Habit's just something we do on the regular. Rituals are things that we do throughout our days or lives that help us feel regulated. The word ritual is defined as a religious or solemn ceremony. And while many things in our life might not feel religious per se, the idea of a ceremony helps them feel more special. So if we create rituals out of our habits, we'll be a lot more likely to do them and to feel off if we don't do them. Until you do them, kind of feels like your day is maybe not complete. So if you can find a way to ritualize things like doing 10 practice problems for chemistry, maybe it ties into another ritual of drinking your coffee. That can really help you just get into that headspace in an easier way, in a way that feels good and not like a chore. But you will have to create those rituals yourself. Lesson 4, let go. Accept the things that you cannot control. If you have a midterm on Thursday and another one on Friday, the worst thing you can do for yourself is to complain. People complain about this all the time instead of making a plan of study that will give you enough time to study for both classes. And that's the thing to do. When you can't control something, maybe it's already happened, or maybe it's, kind of set in stone for the future. The best thing we can do is to work around it. If there's a huge boulder that weighs 500 pounds in the middle of a hiking path and we can't get around it, or we can't go through it, we have to figure out a way to climb over it or get around it in maybe a creative way. Instead of sitting there and trying to move it, it's not movable. You can't do that. So we have to accept that there are things in our life that we can't control, and we have to find workarounds. That will make you a more resilient person, because things like this will come up throughout your life. This is not just a thing that happens when you're in college. There will be times when you are busy and you cannot fathom how you're going to get everything done. But instead of complaining, we make a plan. But we do live in a complaining culture, and complaining really builds on itself, especially if you're complaining with other people. Everybody just wants to throw complaints into the group chat or the conversation. But the more you remember to be grateful, the more grateful you'll be. Just like complaining begets complaining, gratitude begets gratitude. So when you want to complain about something school related, put yourself into a gratitude mindset instead. Think of each chance to prove your abilities as an opportunity and building block. Don't forget to express gratitude to others. Thank your parents, your teachers, your study group members, and even the barista at Starbucks. It will make both of your days a little brighter. Lesson 5, rest. Time is finite. If you do not rest, you will break. To perform your best, you need to rest well and prioritize your rest. So if sticking to a bedtime is hard, set reminders, but maybe instead think of actually creating a wind down ritual that you look forward to every evening. Maybe you read a book that you really like for 15 or 20 minutes. Maybe you have a skincare routine that you love and it makes you kind of feel peaceful and brings your energy down, make you kind of ready for bed. Whatever it is for you, create a ritual and look forward to it every evening. And there are other ways to rest as well. Study rests are also really important. Many studies have shown diminishing returns in focus study after about 30 minutes for most students, which means that about every 30 minutes, you should take a short, maybe 5-minute break just to let your brain reboot and refresh. And you can try the Pomodoro method. So if you haven't heard of the Pomodoro method, Pomodoro means tomato in Italian. And this word was coined by a person who had a timer that was shaped like a tomato. So in this method of study, you work for 25 minutes really focused. We turn off all notifications, put our phone away, and put a timer on. And there are YouTube timers that you can use. If you're using a device to study, the YouTube timer sometimes works best just because you can pop in some headphones and you'll hear it ring, but you don't have to look at your phone at all. And then after that 25 minutes timer goes off, you take a break for 5 minutes. And again, there are Pomodoro timers, on YouTube where it will ring automatically. So you don't have to like look at your phone, set the timer, reset a timer for 5 minutes. And that's kind of, not super conducive to actually doing this method because it adds a lot more steps and it's kind of inconvenient. Plus, you have to look at your phone, which is not always something we want to be doing during that break. So if you're trying to do 2 hours of really focused reading for your biology class, for instance, it's probably not going to be conducive to look at your notifications, your texts, whatever you've been sent on social media apps during that break, because it's going to break your focus. Sometimes students don't find that this is so much of a problem if they're switching tasks, like if they were doing 30 minutes of chem problems and then they're changing tack completely and they're going to work on their math problem set or something. It's okay to break that focus because the task is changing. But some students find that looking at their phone just completely pulls them away from whatever they need to be doing and doesn't allow them to stay in that focused study mindset. So if you can come up with an alternative for what to do during those 5 minutes, like use the bathroom, get some water, have a snack, walk around your desk 25 times, or just stare out the window and like let yourself get a tiny bit bored. That can be really helpful. So we suggest doing that. But that is all we have for you today for the first part of Effortless, and come back soon for part 2.